The night in Bethlehem does not fall abruptly. It settles slowly like dust on ancient stones, like a whisper stretched across centuries. There is something about this city that resists modern tempo. Everything feels older here, not just in age, but in intention. The air holds memory. The stones speak, and in the heart of this hushed city stands the reason the world pauses every December. A birth that wasn't supposed to matter, but changed everything. Bethlehem is not the image sold on postcards. It's more real, more raw. It is layered with contradiction, sacred and scarred, poetic and political, reverent and restless. It is fundamental to note that although Bethlehem is central to the Christian narrative in the region, the city is located in the West Bank, under the administration of the Palestinian Authority, about 10 kilometers south of Jerusalem. Yet even amid concrete walls, guarded checkpoints, and the buzz of market life, the weight of history remains unshaken. You feel it in your chest before you understand it in your mind. This place does not need to tell you what happened here. It invites you to remember it. On a cold night, over 2,000 years ago, in a land under Roman rule and tension, a young couple arrived here. Tired, dust-covered, unseen. There was no place for them. No room. No welcome. Only rejection, silence, and the soft ache of being invisible. And yet it was in that silence, in that ache, that the divine entered the world. Quietly, unarmed. Through a woman's labor, in the company of animals. In a cave, not a palace, a cave. In today's Bethlehem, that cave still draws thousands. The Church of the Nativity, built over the traditional site of Christ's birth, is not a grand cathedral that tries to overwhelm. It is low, quiet, even austere, and purposefully so. Its doorway forces you to bow, not for security, but for humility. A reminder that the only way to enter the miracle is to lower yourself, to come empty-handed. Like they did, inside, the air feels thick with breath, held for centuries. Incense rises like prayers, chants echo off stone, and beneath the altar, through a worn staircase, lies the Grotto of the Nativity, dimly lit, marked by a silver star, kissed by millions. People kneel, press their foreheads to the ground, cry, not out of ritual, but out of recognition, because something happened here. Something still happens here. Bethlehem's significance is not in its beauty. It's in its truth. It tells us that holiness does not need perfection, that beginnings don't have to be comfortable to be divine, that the smallest town, the smallest people, the smallest story can hold the entire cosmos. Every year, as Christmas approaches, the city awakens not with extravagance, but with expectancy. Manger Square fills with music and prayer. Families light candles. Scouts march proudly, their drums echoing ancient rhythms. There's laughter, yes, joy, celebration. But there is also reverence, the kind that settles behind the eyes, that speaks not in volume, but in stillness. To stand in Bethlehem during December is to realize that Christmas was never meant to be loud. It was never meant to be polished. It was meant to be real, messy, honest, like birth, like belief. Tourists may come for the tradition, but seekers come for the transformation. Because this city, in all its imperfection, offers a gift the modern world has forgotten how to unwrap, the gift of presence. Sacred, unfiltered presence, the kind that doesn't try to fix everything, but dares to be with it as it is. In the stillness of Bethlehem, where shepherds once looked up to a sky torn open by angels, we are reminded that light does not always arrive in fire or sound. Sometimes it arrives as a breath, a heartbeat, a cry in the night. And if you listen closely, past the noise of the city, past your own distractions, you might hear it again. The whisper of a beginning, the echo of a promise, the cradle of light. Long before Bethlehem became the stage for divinity, a quieter moment took place far to the north, in the small Galilean town of Nazareth. There, tucked between rolling hills and olive groves, history shifted on a whisper. It wasn't accompanied by thunder, spectacle, or applause. It began with a question and a young girl's answer. Mary was not wealthy, not powerful, not famous. She was likely in her early teens, living an ordinary life in an unremarkable village. Nazareth was a place few spoke of with pride so small and obscure that even Scripture remarks with skepticism. Can anything good come from Nazareth? And yet, it was here that the divine chose to knock. The Annunciation, as Christians would later call it, is not merely a moment in religious lore. It is the turning point of a story that began with silence and would soon echo across time. The angel Gabriel did not come to a queen, but to a girl. Not in a temple, but in a maid. And his message was not one of grandeur, but of invitation. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you shall name him Jesus. What followed wasn't instant obedience, nor rejection. Mary questioned, not defiantly, but honestly, "How can this be?" And then, with trembling courage, she offered the words that would change everything. "Let it be done to me according to your word." That yes, spoken in the privacy of a home that no one marked with monuments at the time, became the seed of Christmas. Before there was a manger, there was this moment of surrender. Before the angelic chorus in Bethlehem, there was the quiet consent in Nazareth. Today, the town has grown. Nazareth is now a bustling Arab-Israeli city, vibrant with culture, noise, and faith. But at its core, it still holds that sacred memory. The Basilica of the Annunciation now stands as a physical marker over what is believed to be Maria's home. It's one of the most revered Christian sites in the Middle East, yet it remains deeply human. The Basilica is a marvel modern in construction, yet ancient in heart. Its facade features scenes from Scripture, but step inside, and you're met with something much more intimate. The lower level leads to the Grotto, the cave where tradition holds the angel appeared to Mary. It is not grand. It is not ornate. But it is holy. Pilgrims come here not to witness a spectacle, but to enter into the silence where heaven once touched earth. They kneel in stillness. Some light candles. Others cry quietly. The grotto has no need for explanations. It invites one thing: response. The upper church features depictions of Mary from around the world: Japanese, African, Native American, Polish, Filipino. Each rendering shows her in the cultural attire of her people, reflecting the universality of her story. But beneath them all lies the same truth. One girl, one yes, one beginning. Nazareth celebrates Christmas with humble reverence. Streets are adorned with lights, yes, and there are processions and festivals. But in the heart of the city, the tone is different. It is not commercial. It is not noisy. It is sacred. Schools host nativity plays. Churches open their doors. Arabic carols fill the air. And families gather not just to eat, but to remember. The people of Nazareth know that the story didn't begin with fanfare. It began with faith. They carry that awareness not just in their churches, but in their homes, in their speech, in the rhythm of their lives. For visitors, Nazareth becomes a mirror. It reflects a part of the Christmas story often overlooked, the part before the birth, where uncertainty lived, the part where the divine asked permission, and a human said yes. And perhaps that is the deepest invitation Christmas offers, not just to believe in what happened, but to respond, to offer our own yes, to mystery, to risk, to love. Because if God, as many believe, entered the world through a girl in Nazareth, then maybe the sacred still enters the world through our yes, too. In Nazareth, that yes still echoes, and it still changes everything. Bethlehem is more than a city. It is a symbol carved in stone, whispered through Scripture, and carried in the collective memory of billions. It is where the infinite entered the intimate, where eternity took its first breath, and where dirt and divinity collided. But to see Bethlehem only as a historical backdrop is to miss its soul. This is not just where Jesus was born. It is where vulnerability, faith, and light found form. The city rises from the Judean hills, like a song half-sung, ancient yet restless, reverent yet bruised by time. Modern life moves here. Of course, cars honk. Vendors call out their wares in Arabic. Children laugh in narrow alleys. But beneath it all lies a hum, deep, sacred, unmistakable. Bethlehem remembers. Every stone here carries the weight of that night. The Church of the Nativity, built over the traditional site of Christ's birth, anchors this memory. Unlike many holy sites adorned in gold and marble, this one greets visitors with Its entrance, called the Door of Humility, is strikingly low. You cannot enter standing tall. You must bow, and in that act of lowering yourself, you begin to understand the spirit of this place. Inside, the church is dim, its light filtered through ancient windows and flickering lamps. The scent of incense is strong, clinging to every beam and stone. Pilgrims stand in hushed lines, some clutching rosaries, others silent with anticipation. They're not just here to see a place, they're here to touch a moment. Beneath the main altar lies the Grotto of the Nativity. It is small, dark, and worn by centuries of footsteps and tears. A silver star embedded in the floor marks the traditional spot where Mary gave birth. Pilgrims drop to their knees, some weeping, some simply placing their hand on the cold stone. For many, it is the most sacred touch of their lives. But what makes Bethlehem extraordinary is not just this cave. It is how the story of the cave lives on in its people, its streets, its struggle. Bethlehem today is located in the West Bank and is administered by the Palestinian Authority, but it is surrounded by a separation wall built by Israel, and its access is regulated by checkpoints. Tises we eat is dotted with graffiti, political, painful, poetic. Messages like love still lives here, and peace begins with justice scream from concrete in spray paint. For the locals, many of whom are Christians, Bethlehem is not just the site of a miracle, it is home. And that home is layered with joy, resilience, frustration, and profound faith. During December, the city transforms. Manger Square fills with music and light. A giant Christmas tree is erected, draped in ornaments and symbolism. But the real celebration happens in homes and churches, in quiet prayers, in mammal cookies shared across generations, in Arabic carols sung by candlelight. Christian families in Bethlehem pass down stories of the first Christmas, not as history, but as inheritance. They don't merely believe it happened here. They live in the tension of it. Tiperadils. That the Prince of Peace was born in a place still yearning for peace. Visitors often describe feeling the weight of Bethlehem a sacred heaviness. Not sadness, but depth. It is the realization that Christmas did not come wrapped in tinsel or perfection. It came in sweat, fear, vulnerability, and somehow that makes it more real. There are no angels visibly singing in the sky over Bethlehem today. But you can still hear something. It's in the laughter of children at midnight mass, in the echo of hymns through stone halls, in the silence that settles after the last candle is blown out. Bethlehem's stone holds the moment, but its spirit holds the meaning. It teaches us that God, if one believes, chose to enter not at the center of power, but at the edge of it, not in comfort, but in risk, not in applause, but in obscurity. And that choice still resonates, because it reminds us that light can come from small places, that hope can be born among walls, that even today in the noise, in the tension, in the doubt, the spirit of Bethlehem still breathes, and it still invites us to kneel. They come from every corner of the earth. Their languages differ, their customs vary, but they carry the same longing to walk where it all began, to feel the air that cradled the miracle, to step into the pages of Scripture, not as readers, but as witnesses. These are the pilgrims, the seekers of Bethlehem, Nazareth, and Jerusalem, people who turn their belief into journey. Pilgrimage to the Holy Land is unlike any other spiritual voyage. It is not merely about sightseeing. It is about encounter. Every step through this land carries theological weight. Every path is layered in memory. And during the Christmas season, the intensity deepens. Something sacred stirs in December, a ripple of reverence that draws souls across oceans and deserts to come home to the heart of their faith. Bethlehem is the most sought-after destination, especially as Christmas nears. Pilgrims pour into Manger Square, some with cameras, others with rosaries, many with tears already welling in their eyes. They are here not just to witness history, but to breathe its living remnants. Midnight Mass at the Church of the Nativity is more than a religious service. It is a global gathering of hearts, bowing to the same light. Many arrive early to line the streets and join the Christmas Eve procession. Led by clergy scouts and choirs, the procession is a ritual of movement, not just through space, but through time. With each step, there's a sense of drawing closer, not just to a church, but to a mystery. The beating drums echo through ancient stones. Hymns in Arabic, Latin, and English weave together in solemn beauty. But pilgrimage doesn't stop at Bethlehem. Nazareth is next. Pilgrims who visit the Basilica of the Annunciation often say they came seeking the baby, but found the woman who said yes. The grotto beneath the church becomes a quiet sanctuary for those seeking courage, a place to lay down fear and take up faith. Some sit there for hours, unmoving, letting the silence speak. Further north, in the region of Galilee, the Sea of Galilee becomes a sacred mirror. Pilgrims board wooden boats and drift into the stillness of water that once heard Jesus' voice. There is no sermon here, only the sound of lapping waves and quiet weeping. Some read scripture aloud, others closed their eyes and listened. All are changed. Jerusalem, complex and layered, offers yet another kind of pilgrimage, one through paradox. The Via Dolorosa, the path believed to trace Christ's journey to the cross, is not directly linked to Christmas. Yet, walking it in December, pilgrims begin to grasp the fullness of the incarnation, that the baby in Bethlehem was born for this road, that the cradle and the cross are inseparably linked. Yet, not all pilgrimages are smooth. The realities of modern Israel can be jarring. Pilgrims may encounter military checkpoints, experience cultural friction, or witness the visible tension between histories that refuse to reconcile. And in these moments, faith is tested. But perhaps that's part of the journey, to see the birthplace of hope, not as a pristine relic, but as a living, breathing land, bruised, beautiful, and still holy. Many pilgrims leave changed, not because they discovered new facts, but because they encountered ancient truths in flesh and dust. They touched the cold stone where a baby cried. They knelt on the soil where divinity entered the ordinary. They realized that Christmas is not about what we celebrate, but what we carry forward. One visitor wrote, "I came to find God in Bethlehem. Instead, I found him in myself through the eyes of strangers, in the hands of a local who helped me find my way, in the silence that wouldn't leave me after the candles burned out." That is the essence of pilgrimage. Not escape, but return. Return to what matters, to what endures, to what began not in comfort, but in courage. And each Christmas, the pilgrims keep coming, because something calls them, because something waits for them, because in this land, the promise still lives. In Israel, faith doesn't live in isolation, it breathes among layers. Here, the sacred is not a single stream, but a river fed by three mighty tributaries: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. All claim this land. All root their stories in its soil. And nowhere is this more visible and more complex than during the Christmas season. To walk through Jerusalem's old city is to experience this religious convergence in real time. Within a matter of minutes you can pass the Western Wall, the holiest site in Judaism, then the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Christians believe Jesus was crucified and resurrected, and finally, the Golden Dome of the Rock, where Muslims believe the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. The proximity is not symbolic, it is literal. These sites are within steps of each other. During December, as Christians prepare to celebrate Christ's birth, the atmosphere grows rich and fragile. In Nazareth, Bethlehem, and parts of Jerusalem, Arabic carols fill the air. Churches begin their Advent liturgies. Candles are lit on windowsills. But the same streets also carry the sound of the Muslim call to prayer, echoing from minarets. And as the Jewish calendar shifts, Hanukkah may fall within the same season, its menorahs glowing in windows just across from nativity displays. This coexistence is layered, at times harmonious, at times tense. For Christian communities in Israel, especially Arab Christians, this intersection is daily life. They navigate shared spaces with cultural grace and quiet. They understand that their celebration of Christmas is not only religious, but also a statement of identity, survival, and belonging. In a land often defined by division, they embody a third way, a bridge between stories. And that bridge is not just symbolic. It's lived in neighborhoods, schools, and friendships. In cities like Haifa, known for its cultural diversity, the Holiday of Holidays festival celebrates Hanukkah, Christmas, and Ramadan together. Streets are decorated with stars, menorahs, and crescent moons. Food stalls sell everything from safkanoyat Hanukkah donuts to mamul Christmas cookies. Music blends traditions. It is not always peaceful, but it is always human. Yet, Christmas in Israel also reveals the deeper spiritual contrasts between the religions. For Christians, this season centers on the incarnation God made flesh in the form of Jesus. For Jews, Jesus is not recognized as Messiah. For Muslims, he is revered as a prophet, born of the Virgin Mary, but not divine. These differences are theological, but in the Holy Land, they are also emotional. They affect how space is shared, how traditions are expressed, and how narratives are preserved. Still, there are quiet miracles. A Muslim shopkeeper in Bethlehem selling handcrafted nativity sets to Christian pilgrims. A Jewish tour guide explaining the Christian significance of Nazareth with reverence. A Christian family inviting Jewish and Muslim neighbors to their Christmas table. These interactions may not make headlines, but they plant seeds, and sometimes those seeds bloom. The tension is real. Political struggles cast long shadows. Checkpoints divide. History wounds. But the spiritual identity of this land is more than conflict. It is also mystery, the mystery of how faiths born in the same region, often in opposition, still find themselves kneeling each in their own way before the same sacred earth. For pilgrims, this interfaith mosaic is both disorienting and illuminating. Many arrive expecting to immerse themselves in Christian history alone, but they quickly realize this land does not allow singular narratives. It demands humility. It asks you to listen to the chants of a Greek priest, to the prayer of a Muslim woman, to the silence of a Jewish mourner. Christmas in this context becomes deeper. It is no longer about cultural tradition or seasonal warmth. It is about presence, not just of God, but of others, of neighbors, of those who believe differently, but still believe. It is about sharing space, even when that space feels crowded with contradiction. And maybe that is the gift of Israel, not to give you clarity, but complexity. Not to offer a single answer, but an invitation to keep asking better questions. In a world increasingly polarized by difference, this land reminds us that faith is not always neat. It is layered messy, holy, and worth holding on to even when we don't fully understand it. Because here, where faiths collide, sometimes they also converge. Not in theology, but in longing. Not in agreement, but not in doctrine, but in the simple act of lighting a candle and watching the flame dance against the dark. Before the world wrapped Christmas in tinsel and commerce, it was sung in shadows, in caves and stone chapels, in languages older than nations. And still today, in the Holy Land, the season arrives first, not in decorations, but in music fragile, reverent, and deeply rooted. In Israel, Christmas music is not a performance. It is a prayer, a memory, a bridge between heaven and earth. Throughout December, the streets of Bethlehem carry a quiet melody. Arabic carols echo through narrow alleyways, mixing with the sounds of merchants and distant church bells. Some are traditional ancient hymns carried from generation to generation. Others are newer, written in local dialects with regional instruments. But they all serve the same purpose: to awaken the soul to the story. In churches like the Church of the Nativity, music becomes architecture. Gregorian chants rise and fall like sacred breath. The acoustics, shaped by centuries of stone and silence, carry each note as if it were a message sent directly to the divine. The choirs don't seek applause. Their voices are meant to dissolve into the sacred air, to linger in the quiet. What makes the musical landscape here so unique is its diversity. Christianity in the Holy Land spans many traditions: Roman Catholic, Greek Orthodox, Armenian, Coptic, Syriac, and more. Each brings its own musical liturgy. In the same week, one can hear Latin Mass hymns, sung with solemn restraint, and the vibrant complex tones of Byzantine chant that seem to swirl like incense through domed Arabic-speaking Christians often sing hymns that blend Western melodies with Eastern instruments. The Oud Qanon and tabla bring a distinctly Levantine flavor to Silent Night and O Come All the Faithful. These familiar songs, reinterpreted with local color, become new again, not just songs of nostalgia, but of belonging. And then there is the ancient, the sound that predates even the Nativity, Aramaic. Some Christian communities in Israel, particularly Maronite and Syriac, still chant in Aramaic, the language Jesus likely spoke. These hymns are not widely known. They are not recorded for global audiences. But to sit in a small chapel and hear the words of Christmas sung in the tongue of the Christ child is to step outside of time. It is haunting, humbling, holy. In Nazareth, the Christmas parade adds a joyful rhythm to the season. Local schools and scout groups perform with brass bands, drums, and choirs. There is laughter and celebration. Bat Ebenera. The music leans toward, meaning Arabic renditions of classic carols play from street speakers. Children sing of peace and light, with voices too young to carry the weight of the lyrics, and yet, somehow, they do. The Armenian Quarter in Jerusalem brings its own sacred rhythm. In the Cathedral of St. James, liturgy unfolds with slow, melodic chants, thick with centuries of tradition. The service is sung, not spoken. Every prayer is a melody, every word a vibration of something beyond language. For pilgrims, these sounds are often the most enduring part of their journey. They arrive expecting to see the grotto, the churches, the sacred sites. But they leave remembering what they heard. The trembling voice of a nun leading evening prayer, the thunder of drums in Bethlehem Square, the distant call of a muezzin interwoven with the echo of a bell. Because here, the sacred is not always separate. It overlaps, and perhaps that's the miracle of Christmas music in the Holy Land. It doesn't try to drown out other faiths. It joins the chorus. It sings beside them, not always in harmony, but in shared reverence. It knows that the divine can speak through any voice, any scale, any silence. In the West, Christmas music often begins in November and fades by December 26th. Here, it doesn't follow a schedule. It lingers longer. It is not a soundtrack, but a sanctuary. And in that sanctuary, you hear something rare. Not just songs, but longing. Not just melody, but mystery. The sound of hope, ancient and alive, still echoing from the hills of Bethlehem, still waiting to be heard. In the Holy Land, taste is testimony. The foods shared during Christmas are more than meals. They are inheritances of memory, crafted in kitchens that echo with prayer and passed from grandmother to grandchild like sacred scripture. To eat in Israel during Christmas is to consume history, culture, and faith, one bite at a time. Among Arab Christian families who make up the majority of the local Christian population, food is a form of worship. Preparations for the holiday begin days, even weeks, in advance. Kitchens swell with the scent of warm spices, roasted meats, and dough sweetened with dates or soaked in orange blossom water. These are not commercial feasts. They are intimate rituals, created slowly and with reverence. The centerpiece of many Christmas tables is makluba, which means upside down in Arabic. It is a layered dish of rice, vegetables, and either lamb or chicken, cooked in a single pot and flipped dramatically onto a platter. The unveiling is a communal moment, a collective gasp, a proud smile, a slice into something that took hours, maybe days, to perfect. But the true beauty of makluba is not just in the flavor, but in what it represents: a life of adaptation, survival, and shared joy turned upside down and made whole. Kibbeh bulgur wheat, mixed with ground meat and spices, is another staple. It can be fried, baked, or served raw, depending on regional and family preferences. Shaped into ovals or layered into pans, it's the result of careful, practiced hands. Each bite is tender, textured, and filled with ancestral memory. No Christmas is complete without mamul, the beloved-filled cookies dusted with powdered sugar, made with semolina or flour, and stuffed with dates, walnuts, or These cookies are often shaped with intricate wooden molds. Making them is a family affair. Elders guide, children shape, and everyone tastes. It's not just baking, it's bonding. Each mold pressed into dough is a stamp of heritage, a tiny act of cultural resistance and remembrance. Other holiday desserts include Katayev stuffed pancakes, fried and drizzled in syrup and grebe, a buttery shortbread that crumbles at the slightest touch. Often, sweets are served with strong Arabic coffee or tea, infused with fresh mint or sage, inviting conversation, laughter, and storytelling. In Nazareth, Christian families might also serve dishes influenced by nearby Galilean and Mediterranean cuisines. Stuffed grape leaves, fresh tabbouleh, hummus with pine nuts sautéed in olive oil, and roasted lamb seasoned with cinnamon and cloves. Olive oil harvested locally is not only a culinary staple, but a symbol of peace, of provision, of the land's enduring gift. Bethlehem, too, hosts similar traditions, though affected by economic strain and political restriction. Families here still prepare elaborate meals, often stretching what little they have to make something sacred. To them, hospitality is a theological act. A guest at the table is a blessing, not a burden. Food becomes sacramental not because it is extravagant, but because it's shared. At many Christmas tables, a prayer precedes the meal spoken aloud or held in silence. It may be in Arabic, English, Aramaic, or a blend of all three. It's not a formal grace recited from a script, but a heartfelt offering. Thank you for this. Thank you for us. Thank you for another year of survival, of joy, of light. For pilgrims, being invited to such a table is a revelation. They expect the holy in churches and holy sites, but often it's here in the warmth of a family meal, in a grandmother's wrinkled hands serving you a second helping, in the laughter between old friends, that the spirit of Christmas feels most real. Not distant or doctrinal, but delicious. Even in a land marked by walls and division, food crosses boundaries. Christian, Muslim, and Jewish neighbors often share culinary traditions, even if their theology differs. A neighbor might send a plate of sweets next door. A shopkeeper might throw in extra figs for the holiday. There's generosity baked into the culture, even when the politics make it difficult. Christmas food in Israel is not about indulgence. It's about intention, about remembering that the first Christmas was not accompanied by a feast, but followed by one shared by strangers, shepherds, and seekers alike. It's about slowing down, sitting together, and tasting something eternal in the earthly. In every these, there is story. In every flavor, faith, and in every shared meal, the miracle of being seen. Nazareth, the forgotten village that became the fountainhead of faith. It is easy to bypass it on a map, to see it as just another bustling city in northern Israel. But beneath its modern veneer lies a sacred rhythm that awakens each December. This is not just where Jesus grew up. This is where the story of Christmas was conceived. Annunciation. The city remembers. Unlike the grandeur of Bethlehem or the sacred tension of Jerusalem, Nazareth celebrates Christmas with a gentler flame. It doesn't try to impress. It tries to welcome. The glow of the season here doesn't blaze. It burns steady, rooted in homes, churches, streets, and hearts that carry centuries of faith. By early December, Nazareth transforms. Strings of lights stretch across the main square. Stars and bells hang from balconies. A towering Christmas tree is erected near the Basilica of the Annunciation, twinkling against the night sky. Yet, even as the decorations grow, the city retains its spiritual tone. There is celebration, yes, but always with depth, always with meaning. One of the central events is the Christmas parade, which winds through the city with music, joy, and symbolism. Scout groups march in uniform, beating drums and playing trumpets. Local schools participate with nativity reenactments. Children dressed as angels wave to the crowd. For a moment, the streets become a moving theater of memory, one where faith and festivity coexists without tension. But it's not just public events that define Nazareth's celebration. It is what happens in the quiet corners, in homes where candles are lit by generations who remember not only the story of Mary and Joseph, but their own stories of endurance and hope. The Basilica of the Annunciation becomes the spiritual heart of the city during this season. Masses are held in multiple languages, welcoming pilgrims from around the world. The grotto below, believed to be the site of Mary's encounter with the angel Gabriel, draws visitors into its silence. It is not uncommon to find people weeping softly, not out of sadness, but recognition. The realization that all of this began with a yes. Nazareth's Christian community, mostly Arab, carries the weight of both joy and marginalization. In a region shaped by tension, their identity is more than religious. It is cultural, historical, and sometimes political. And so, to celebrate Christmas here is not just an act of devotion. It is an act of presence, of persistence, of proclaiming, we are still here. Homes are decorated with care. Christmas trees are common, but so are traditional ornaments, olive wood carvings, hand-embroidered tablecloths, candles passed down through generations. Meals are prepared with love and shared with warmth. And above all, the story is told again and again, from mother to child, from pulpit to pew, from heart to heart. Pilgrims who come to Nazareth often speak of its gentleness. It does not seek to convert or overwhelm. It simply invites. It invites you to walk the same streets that Mary once walked, to touch the walls that have heard centuries of whispered prayers, to sit beside locals and see the season through their eyes. One of the most beloved traditions is the lighting of the Christmas tree ceremony in the city's main square. Families gather as the tree is lit, music plays, and a sense of shared wonder fills the air. But even this moment is not about spectacle. It is about remembrance. The tree is not just a decoration. It is a symbol of the light that still enters darkness. Gently, persistently, faithfully. In Nazareth, Christmas is not confined to December. Its spirit lingers. Because this is a city that holds the beginning, the choice, the yes. And in that yes lies all the possibility of redemption, joy, and love. There's a certain humility here, as if the city itself knows its role. Not to demand attention, but to quietly offer the origin, to remind every visitor and every resident that before there was celebration, there was courage. Before there were choirs, there was silence. And before there was birth, there was belief. Nazareth doesn't shout its holiness. It lives Italiano, with every lit candle, every sung hymn, every whispered prayer. It reminds us that before the world rejoiced, one girl said yes, and that was enough to set the light in motion. Jerusalem does not whisper its history, it roars with it. Each stone, each gate, each narrow corridor is heavy with echoes. This city is not content with being remembered. It insists on being felt. And during Christmas, for those who dare to walk its winding alleys and sacred sites, Jerusalem reveals the weight of the story behind the season, not in glitter, but in gravity. Unlike Bethlehem or Nazareth, where the Nativity story begins, Jerusalem holds the end, or perhaps the continuation. It is where the child of Bethlehem would one day walk, teach, weep, and ultimately be crucified. The cradle and the cross are 2 points of a single line, and Jerusalem makes sure you never forget it. During December, the Christian quarter of the Old City glows with restrained celebration. There are no elaborate light shows, no synthetic carols on repeat. Instead, the season settles like incense, slow, fragrant, lingering. The ancient walls absorb the energy of pilgrims arriving from around the world. Some carry candles. Others carry silence. All carry the story within them. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre, a short walk from the Jaffa Gate, becomes a magnet during this time. Though not directly connected to the Nativity, it holds the heart of the Christian faith, the place where Jesus was believed to be crucified, buried, and resurrected. Pilgrims line up for hours to kneel at the stone of anointing, to touch the rock of Golgotha, to enter the empty tomb. And somehow, celebrating Christmas here feels right, because the story of Christ does not end in a manger. It leads here, to sacrifice, to love carried to its fullest expression. Yet, outside the church walls, life continues in layers. Vendors call out in Arabic and Hebrew. Tourists weave through labyrinthine markets. The Muslim call to prayer rises over rooftops. Jewish families light Hanukkah candles in their windows. The harmony is imperfect, sometimes strained, but undeniably sacred. Christian communities in Jerusalem, especially the Armenians, Greeks, and Franciscans, mark Christmas with deep tradition. The Armenian Patriarchate, located within the Old City, celebrates Christmas on January 6th, following the ancient calendar. Their procession through the city is solemn, silent, and full of wonder. Robed clergy walk with candles, their faces serene, their footsteps steady as if time itself slows down to watch them. The Franciscans, custodians of many holy sites, conduct midnight mass at various churches, often in Latin, Arabic, and Italian. Their liturgies blend simplicity with sacredness. No theatrics, just ancient prayers spoken into the night. For the local Christian families, many of them, Arab Christmas is both celebration and survival. They live in a city that often forgets them, squeezed between larger narratives, caught in political tides. Yet each year, they decorate their homes, light their trees, bake their sweets, and attend church with heads high, voices full. Some say it takes courage to be Christian in Jerusalem. Others say it simply takes faith. Either way, they do it not to be seen, but to stay faithful to the land where their story began. Pilgrims who walk Jerusalem streets at Christmas often describe the experience as jarring, not because of the conflict, but because of the closeness. Here, you are never far from contradiction. A joyful kara might be followed by a soldier's command. A quiet prayer may echo just yards from a protest. The sacred and the sorrowful coexist, and that coexistence changes you. And maybe that's the point. Christmas in Jerusalem is not meant to comfort. It's meant to awaken, to remind you that the birth you celebrate was not a fairy tale. It was a protest against despair, a divine response to suffering, a light lit precisely where it was needed most, not far from here. In the evenings, as the city cools and the crowds thin, you might hear the bells ringing across the Old City from the Lutheran church tower, from the Dormition Abbey, from the Church of the Redeemer. Their chimes don't just announce the hour, they announce a presence. That the child born in Bethlehem once walked these streets, that love once wore sandals, that eternity once wept within these walls, and that even now, among conflict and candles, cross and star, Christmas still lives here. To understand Bethlehem today, it is essential to recognize its location in the West Bank, administered by the Palestinian Authority, but under Israeli military control, which includes the separation wall and checkpoints. To speak of Christmas in Bethlehem without speaking of occupation is to tell only half the story. The city where Jesus was born, where the skies once broke open with angelic light, is now surrounded by a concrete wall. It towers over homes in shepherds' fields, cutting through streets like a scar across memory. Soldiers guard its checkpoints. Watchtowers loom like sentinels over a sacred past. And yet, even here, light still tries to break through. For many Palestinian Christians, Christmas is not just a holiday. It's a declaration. We are still here. In a land where movement is restricted, identities are contested, and visibility is often denied, celebrating the birth of Christ becomes an act of profound resistance. The feast is spiritual, yes, but also political, cultural, and deeply personal. December in Bethlehem is both beautiful and bittersweet. Manger Square fills with pilgrims from around the world. The Church of the Nativity glows with reverence. The city's massive Christmas tree stands tall, adorned with lights and symbols of peace. Fireworks light up the sky on Christmas Eve. There is music, dancing, joy, but just beyond the celebration, the wall remains gray, unyielding, covered in graffiti that speaks louder than the silence it tries to impose. Some of the graffiti is political. Free Palestine, tear down the wall. Some of it is spiritual. Love still lives here. Christ was born here under occupation. Banksy murals appear like modern icons, subversive and sorrowful, reminding every visitor that the land of peace still waits for peace. Local Christian families live within this paradox daily. Many cannot travel freely to Jerusalem to attend services at the Holy Sepulchre. Others struggle with economic hardship, their tourism-dependent businesses suffering from instability. Youth leave in growing numbers, seeking better futures abroad. Yet those who remain carry the weight of both faith and place. Despite the challenges, their Christmas traditions endure. Scouts still parade through town. Churches still host midnight mass. Families still gather for meals, light candles, sing carols in Arabic, and hang ornaments hand-carved from olive wood, often made from trees older than the occupation itself. Father Jamal Kader, a Palestinian priest, once said, "When you celebrate Christmas in Bethlehem, you don't romanticize the Nativity, you understand it. Mary and Joseph were refugees. Jesus was born into empire. Christmas is not escapism. It's incarnation in the middle of it all." In this context, Christmas gains weight. It becomes a spiritual counter-narrative, a reminder that the Christ child entered not into calm, but into crisis. His arrival was not welcomed by empires, but hidden from them. His story, like so many here, began with rejection, displacement, and danger. For pilgrims, encountering this reality can be disorienting. They arrive expecting quaint holiness. Instead, they meet living struggle. But if they're willing to listen, truly listen, something shifts. They begin to understand that Bethlehem is not a museum of miracles. It's a city of human endurance, where holiness and hardship live side by side. And in that realization, Christmas deepens. Because hope born in comfort is a luxury, but hope born under occupation, that's a miracle. Every year, as Christmas Eve draws near, a procession moves from Jerusalem to Bethlehem, echoing the journey of Mary and Joseph. But now, the road includes checkpoints, barriers, and permits. Still, they walk. Still, they sing. Still, they carry the story forward. Manger Square fills with lights and language from every continent. Yet the loudest voices often come from those who have lived here the longest. Arab Christian elders who remember Bethlehem before the wall, who pass on stories not from books, but from memory. They tell their grandchildren, "You were born in the land of Jesus." Let that mean something. And it does. Because in a city surrounded by cement and sorrow, something holy still happens. Bread is broken. Songs are sung. Tears are shed. And the child is still born, not in a palace, but in a place the world forgets. Because God, if one believes, has always chosen such places. And Bethlehem, in all its pain, still dares to be one. There is a silence beneath Bethlehem that cannot be described, only felt. Down a worn staircase, beneath the main altar of the Church of the Nativity, lies the Grotto of the Nativity. It is small, dimly lit, and always filled with motion, not the busy motion of crowds, but the sacred motion of longing. Pilgrims descend slowly, reverently, often without speaking. Some come barefoot. Others drop to their knees before they even reach the steps. It is here, tradition holds, that heaven once rested in straw. In the center of the grotto is a silver star embedded in the marble floor, its 14 points said to represent the generations between Abraham and Christ. Around it, pilgrims weep, kneel, place their hands, their foreheads, their prayers. Some kiss it gently, others simply stare. But all are changed. This star is not just a marker. It is a meeting place between past and present, story and soil, seeker and sacred. To touch it is to touch something larger than time. Above, the church continues its rhythm. Monks chant in Latin, incense drifts through the arches, and candles flicker beside mosaics worn by centuries of devotion. But beneath it all, beneath even the theology and tradition, lies a simple space carved in stone. A space where light first pierced darkness. A space that still holds a flame. The grotto is not grand. It does not impress with architecture or opulence. It humbles with presence. It tells you that the most important moments in history often come with no audience, no ceremony, no spotlight, just breath, cry, touch. Every Christmas Eve, the grotto becomes the silent epicenter of the Christian world. Midnight Mass above echoes through the walls. Cardinals, priests, pilgrims, and presidents have stood here, but it is the quiet figures. The grandmother clutching her rosary, the teenager silently mouthing a prayer, the mother holding a child who reveal the true meaning of the space. For local Christians, the grotto is not just for December. It is part of their life, their rhythm, their inheritance. Some have come here every year since childhood. Others work within the church, tending to the candles, sweeping the floor, offering directions to lost pilgrims. To them, this is not a tourist site. It is sacred ground, and yet the grotto is not untouched by reality. The same city that cradles this flame also struggles under occupation. The same walls that hold divine memory also bear the graffiti of protest. The paradox is sharp, but it only deepens the meaning, because the flame here does not flicker because the world is perfect. It flickers because it isn't. It reminds us that the holy can be born in caves, that beauty can emerge in silence, that God, if one believes, does not always arrive in power, but in proximity. Pilgrims often leave the grotto in tears, unsure of what moved them. It wasn't just the sight. They say it was something else. A presence, a knowing, a whisper in their spirit that says, "You're not alone." And maybe that's what Christmas in Bethlehem is truly about, not just remembering what happened, but experiencing what still is. The star remains. The grotto remains. The flame remains, not in defiance of the world's darkness, but in testimony to the light that entered it and never left. So we come. We kneel. We touch. Not because the stone is magical, but because it reminds us of a truth too easy to forget, that divinity still chooses small places, that light still descends into dark caves, that the flame, even surrounded by sorrow, still burns. And in that flame, we are warmed. We are awakened. We are reminded that the star did not just lead the Magi. It leads us to, when the Christmas lights are taken down and the hymns fade into memory, most cities return to ordinary life. But in Bethlehem and across the Holy Land, something lingers. It is not the decorations. It is not the tourists. It is presence. Presence is the unshakable stillness left behind when the sacred visits a place. It's the breath that remains in a room after a whispered prayer. It is what continues to stir in the soul of a land long after angels have ceased their song. And in Israel, presence is everywhere. Bethlehem's manger square returns to its quiet rhythm after Christmas Day. Vendors sweep pine needles from their storefronts. The massive tree is dismantled. The city exhales, but the story doesn't end. It deepens. For the people who live here, the Nativity is not a seasonal tale. It is a living memory they carry. It defines how they raise their children, how they hold on to hope, how they navigate sorrow. In Nazareth, the Basilica steps grow quiet. The parade has passed. The carols have stopped echoing through the streets. But in the grotto, candles still burn. A handful of pilgrims still kneel. And in the hearts of the community, the angel's words to Mary, "Do not be afraid," still speak. Jerusalem, layered in history and tension, continues its sacred pulse. The Christian quarter returns to the slow rhythm of daily life, ancient, enduring. But for those who walked its alleys in December, the stones are not the same. They've been touched by stories, by steps of people seeking more than memory, seeking meaning. The presence that remains is not always loud. In fact, it almost never is. It is the silence you feel after visiting the Grotto of the Nativity. It is the stillness in your chest after hearing ancient hymns in Aramaic. It is the quiet awe of realizing the story of Christmas is not a myth. It is rooted in place, in people, in pain, in hope. This presence transforms the pilgrim. Many visitors return home and find that Christmas, from then on, feels different. Less about performance, more about presence. Less about nostalgia, more about wonder. They speak of remembering the scent of frankincense in Bethlehem, the feel of the cool stone beneath their hands, the echo of a carol sung by strangers in a cave that once held eternity in the form of a child. But perhaps the greatest impact is what this presence awakens in the soul. A deep, quiet invitation to see sacredness in ordinary places, to carry Bethlehem within, not as a destination, but as a posture of heart, to walk through the world knowing that light once entered in silence, and still does. For the people of the Holy Land, Christian, Muslim, and Jewish alike, the Christmas season is not a pause in life. It's a reminder of what life could be, a reminder that amidst division, celebration still happens, that faith still breathes, that peace, though elusive, is still pursued, that hope, though fragile, refuses to vanish. This is what remains after the season ends. A child still born into broken places, A story still unfolding across generations, a light still burning where few would expect to find it. In the Holy Land, Christmas doesn't pass. Eat, abi this, and in the quiet, in the dust, in the soft glow of morning, it waits for us to return. Not just to the place, but to the presence. Long after the plane has landed, after the bags have been unpacked and the photos stored away, something remains. It's subtle at first, a sensation, a quiet pull. You catch yourself remembering the silence in the grotto, the way the stone felt under your fingers, the look in the eyes of the boy selling olive wood crosses, the faint scent of incense that lingered longer than it should have. It's then you realize the story followed you home, because Christmas, when experienced in the land of its origin, is not something you leave behind. It stays, it breathes, it speaks to you in moments of quiet and chaos alike. It reminds you that faith isn't found in polished perfection, but in caves, conflict, and courage. It teaches you that light does not fear darkness, that hope does not require peace to begin. You remember that the baby was born into tension, that the parents were displaced, that the shepherds were overlooked, that the Magi came from afar. Because sometimes it takes an outsider to remind the world what it has forgotten. You remember that Bethlehem was more than a place. It was a beginning, and that beginning didn't end with Christmas. It continues in the mother whispering blessings over a simple meal, in the pilgrim lighting a candle in a strange city, in you trying to carry sacredness into the ordinary corners of your life. So if you've been there, let the presence remain. If you've only journeyed through this story with your heart, let it be enough to change the way you see the world. Because the real gift of Israel, the real miracle of Bethlehem, is not that God once came. It's that He still does. In the silence, in the waiting, in the unexpected, and always, always in the places that are hardest to believe.